Sam, and today I'm going to refute another Sam's speech. And in Samuel's speech, he made a claim that Central America need to have the capital punishment to eradicate gun terrorism. And he had four secondary claims to support that. These Central American countries are the most violent country in the world. And the government failed to control the crime by using an alternative to capital punishment, and the terrorism is out of control. And some countries use the death penalty, and their homicide rate drops. Although I may say Samuel worked really hard for this speech, but I may say this secondary claim does not support the main claim efficiently. First, he said the Central American countries are the most violent country in the world, and he provides the number of homicide rates and for how many people among from the 100,000 people killed people. However, this number does not directly connect to the gun terrorism. According to the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, the high rate of crime and violence of the Central American is strongly associated with certain social and economic vulnerability, such as unequal incomes of income. And gun terrorism is kind of the side effect of this social phenomenon, and it's not directly related to the number of the killer. And second claim, it says the government failed to control the situation of the gun fight, and they should use the death penalty. Here he gave us the two options: either government's involving or you have the death penalty. And it's just kind of, there's a lot of way to solve this kind of problem, like look help from the worldwide the United Nations, but he just give us the two choices, and also it lacked the information about how the capital punishment will work if this country applies them. And for the evidence, he gave us some countries use the death penalty, and the homicide rate drops. And I do the research about the country he used, Singapore. He said Singapore used the death penalty, and the homicide rate dropped to 0.2 per 100,000. Well, it's true, but the Singapore still have the gun terrorism. In 2010, there's the one gun called the Sadlo Core, or it's another way to say 369. They just slashed the teenage from age 14 to 20, and it's caused the society a big panic. So it's kind of the constant evidence that the death penalty will help eradicate the gun terrorism. And also I did the research about the Central American countries, and they are really working hard to solving the gun terrorism, this problem. Right now, according to the Inside the Crime, a website about the crime nationwide, they said that El Salvador has launched a community police force in its capital. And according to the practice of Honduras, this community police plays an important role in decrease the violence and in certain neighbor. And they said last year, after applying this, the community police before apply the community police, there are more than 20 armed assaults, but after, there's only 3. So I think even without the death penalty, the gun terrorism still can be solved, and the claim he made is, the secondary claim he made is not support his main claim sufficiently. Thank you.
All right, the structural things are easy to follow. There's no problem there, at least at first. On the your general argument is that the secondary points don't support the main proposition, and you basically are going after the individual points, and I think that that's a reasonable strategy. However, the notion that the homicide rates in the Central American countries that are mentioned are not excuse me. It's not just the gang terrorism that's going on, that there's a social vulnerability here, and that the gang terrorism is a side effect of the culture or the economic system, that sort of thing. I think that's an interesting counterclaim argument, but it needs to be a little bit more assertive. And the quote that you have here is so sort of general and ephemeral in nature that it's not as convincing as it ought to be, although I think that there probably is an underlying connection to those sorts of issues. Limited options, economic repression, maybe something about the culture, those very well could be an explanation. So the UN stuff, I think, needed to be developed a little bit more. The idea that there are alternative ways to address this issue, that the advocate basically creates a false dichotomy. We either do what we're doing now, which is inadequate, or we have the death penalty. That's basically a bifurcation kind of argument. Those are the only two choices. And I like the fact that you suggest that there are alternatives. The first alternative you ought to be pointing out is that there could be economic changes that would affect this, just like you mentioned in the earlier point. And the second alternative that you mentioned later on is that El Salvador and other places have developed like community police forces to respond to these things, and they are seeking outside assistance in fighting against gangs and corruption, and that there are a lot of strategies. And so the idea that there are only two options is a false dichotomy, and that we really ought to be looking at these other things. And I thought you had an interesting development of those points. I think that the development could be a little bit stronger. I didn't have any idea what the heck you were saying about the gangs in Singapore. I don't know what the 369 gang is, and they're slashing teens, and I had no idea what that argument was. It didn't make any sense to me, so it didn't help you or hurt you in this situation. All right, thank you very much.